Today on the Sci-Fi Academia YouTube channel, we take a look at the brilliantly named Doctor Who episode, School Reunion. My name is Cademan David, and in this video, I will be taking a look at the things School Reunion does well that Disney Plus Doctor Who misses the mark on, as well as talking about how I feel about the return of Sarah Jane and K9, and just giving general thoughts on the episode. But wait, there's more. Stay tuned till the end of the video where I will share the moral of the episode that we can apply to our lives. This episode starts how any good episode of a children's TV show should. With a child brutally being eaten, of course.
It's nearly time for lunch.
Something we would never see in Disney Plus Doctor Who, which is why it was bad. Okay, maybe not, but I do think Doctor Who is at its best when it's just a little bit scary. I'm not saying that you have to eat a child at the beginning of every episode. I'm just saying that works better when there's actually things that we can be afraid of, especially as kids. Anyway, that's something for a different video. But if you are interested in hearing me complain about Disney Plus Doctor Who, stay tuned to the channel. I'm starting a new series entitled You Could Do So Much More.
So much more!
And that's gonna be me sort of critiquing the Disney Plus era, mostly focusing on the missed opportunity within those stories. Anyway, when the Doctor walks out as a teacher, it just feels right. It makes a lot of sense.
Good morning, class.
I also love how before we see his face, we just see his iconic brown pinstripe suit. It's very cool sort of build-up. It's almost like the very beginning of Indiana Jones. Before we see his face, we just see that brown leather jacket and hat going through the forest. And his teaching style is exactly the same as mine.
Physics, 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 physics!
I wish that was a joke, but actually when I've been put in charge of like a Sunday school class before, it's went a little something like this.
Physics, eh? Physics.
This episode does always make me think there could be an entire season of the Doctor in this school setting, and that could be fun. Perhaps it would be a little bit too much like Buffy, which of course Doctor Who, New Who, was largely inspired by, as at least early seasons of that primarily take place in a school. But the Doctor as a weird teacher just makes so much sense, which is probably why they also did that with Peter Capaldi, making him a professor of a college, which was very fun. Also Human Nature and Family of Blood, kind of, but he's more of like just a really nice teacher. It's also pretty fun how Mickey was the one that called the Doctor and Rose to investigate this school. It's a good way of having Mickey in an episode beyond just the normal this is a Rose and her family type episode. It also seems that the Doctor is being a bit of a troll to Rose, him having much more fun here in this environment than she is.
Sorry, could you just, there's a bit of gravy. No, just there.
And it seems like he knows that and kind of wants to just like, tease her a little bit about it. Which is fun. There's a bit in this episode of the Doctor being just a little bit rude, being a little bit of, dare I say the word, a jerk. Which I think is an element of the character that we've kind of lost a little bit. There's this very fun scene where this kitchen lady tells the Doctor kind of the plot of the episode right off the bat.
He doesn't like the chips.
The menu has been specifically designed by the headmaster to improve concentration and performance.
And it's in a way that you don't necessarily know. Because in the context of the episode, the chips
are making the kids like smarter than they should be. So what I was referring to is that she's telling the doctor the chips, French fries we call them in America. Those are making the kids. It's making them smart, and she just tells him that, which is kind of funny.
But it is a good bit of foreshadowing. I'm a big fan of foreshadowing in fun ways, and this, I think, is sort of that.
What you doing?
Calling an ambulance.
No need. She's quite all right. It's fine. She does that.
Now, this moment is the type of humor that I love in Doctor Who. I love it. It's so tongue-in-cheek, it's funny, it's very dark, and I just can't think of any moments like this, or that come close to this, in Disney Plus Doctor Who. I know I'm talking about it a lot. It's because that's sort of where my mind is at right now. It's very fun, and I've never laughed at Disney Plus Doctor Who like I've laughed at this here.
She does that.
Now, this episode was my introduction to Sarah Jane. I've since went back and watched a little bit of Classic Who with her in it, though there's still a lot I haven't seen. But with that being said, I do wonder if people recognized her, because the way that she enters into this episode is very Sarah Jane-esque.
I mean, maybe you're working the children a little bit too hard now and then, but I think good results, they're more important than anything.
Exactly. You're a woman of vision, Miss Smith.
Oh, I can see everything, Mr. Finch.
And I guess I never really thought about that, as this was my first introduction to the character. But now that I have gone back, I'm like, oh, she's actually characterized more or less exactly the same as she was when she was so much younger in the Pertwee, Tom Baker eras of the show. I love David Tennant's reaction when he sees Sarah Jane show up. However, she probably thinks he's the weirdest guy, because she doesn't recognize him.
Hello.
Oh, I should think so.
And you are?
It's a little bit awkward thinking about from her perspective. I do love just the sort of admiration the Doctor has for Sarah Jane, almost like his child.
Sometimes I think we're all
No, stop it.
your children.
Stop it.
We're all your children.
Kate,
We're all your children.
stop it. It's not a good line. But that's what I'm talking about. And Disney Plus has lines like that, and then this era has scenes like that. Everything that Disney Plus does is like, what if we did everything that we did really good in subtle ways in previous eras, but what if we hit you over the head with it like a very blunt hammer? And then it just comes out with dumb lines like...
Sometimes I think we're all your children.
Moving on, Sarah Jane finds the Tardis. And man, I love the way they do the music every time you see the Tardis. It makes it feel so magical and alien. And then here Sarah Jane recognizes it, then she runs into the Doctor. And this scene is just really well done. It's really well shot. And David Tennant's sort of face here as he sees her coming out from where the TARDIS is, it feels very sort of like he's some sort of watcher. Like he feels magical in this moment too, and it's very good, and I enjoy it. K9 also returns in this episode. I haven't watched any of Classic Who with K9. I don't know how to feel about him. I think a lot of people don't like K9, and his voice is kind of annoying. I will say that much. His voice in this episode, which is all I've seen of him. I guess I did watch an episode of Sarah Jane Adventures, which I think had him in it. Anyway, yeah, let me know. Do you like K9? Do people like K9? Is there a verdict there of whether or not people like K9? I think you gotta change his voice. I think the concept of a mechanical dog is kind of fun, like the Doctor's R2-D2. I think the voice doesn't work for him. So that's my thoughts on K9. And I love this speech that the Doctor gives Rose of how he never grows old, how it's the curse of the Time Lords. And I love this sort of just like gothic edginess.
You can spend the rest of your life with me, but I can't spend the rest of mine with you. I have to live on, alone. That's the curse of the Time Lords.
You know, it's just a bit of drama that just doesn't exist anywhere in again, Disney Plus Doctor Who. I do like a little bit of that sprinkled into my Doctor Who. Not too much, because you could overdo it for sure. So there's this scene of the Doctor and this episode's main bad guy, and they're standing by a swimming pool, and they're talking. Maybe this is where Stephen Moffat got the idea for Sherlock. The bad guy sort of does like the, "You're gonna join us, Doctor," and it's quite fun. I'm sure some people are like, "Oh, it's so cliche," but I don't know, it works for me, and like it is cliche for sure, but at least for me, I'm not put off by cliche. The problem with cliche is when it doesn't really fit with the story, but it's being put in just for the sake of, you know, adding up to what people might expect. I think in this episode, the cliche is incorporated, but it doesn't downplay the characters, it doesn't downplay the episode. Anyway, so that's sort of my thought on cliche. There's nothing wrong with cliche as long as it doesn't take away from the story or characters.
And what of the Time Lords? I always thought of you as such a pompous race. Ancient, dusty senators, so frightened of change.
Also, any time the Time Lords are mentioned in this era is just very fun. I think maybe classic Who people had less of this, but for me, I didn't know anything about the Time Lord. And I was just so interested in their lore and, you know, the Time War and all that. And I think it was kind of very wise the way that Russell T and Stephen Moffat went about the Time War, where they would leave little hints and nuggets of it, but they would never delve deep into it. And what it did, at least for me, was it created this massive curiosity about it in my head. So yeah, no, I'm just happy to hear about Time Lords. Tell me about Time Lords, right? But don't tell me too much about Time Lords, because then they become less fun. Tell me a little bit over a long period of time, and I'm happy. I'm happy with that, I guess, or something. We have a little bit of conflict here between Sarah Jane and Rose. There's sort of some jealousy about the Doctor, and Sarah Jane's like, "Why didn't the Doctor ever come back for me? Instead he went, and now he's hanging out with this 20-year-old girl named Rose, and that's weird." And then Rose is like, she's kind of weird because Sarah Jane came before her. One thing is just a good sort of bridge between classic Who and modern Who. It sort of paints the picture that to people who only watch New Who, that there will probably come a point where there will be another companion that will replace Rose. And also, like, the sort of bickering between them is mostly played for laughs more than anything else. So it's not annoying. Like, just like on paper, that plot point sounds like it would be like, oh, do we really have to do that? But the way it's done in this episode, I actually kind of like. It's kind of fun. It's kind of funny. Also, I've been the Doctor in this scene.
Going. What? Listen, I need to find out what's programmed inside these.
What? Stop it.
Like, this has happened to me several times. I don't know. Women are weird. And that's all I have to say about that. This episode has a really high death count, and I love it. There's just like so many people that die. You have the little girl at the beginning, you have all of the non-alien teachers that are eaten by the teachers. And a lot of these deaths are kind of played for laughs, and I like it.
It's like changing the timetable. We're having an early lunch.
In my Doctor Who, I want a high death count. In my Star Trek, I want a low death count, because Star Trek is very much about the sanctity of life and all that. And while Doctor Who is also has that in it, that's part of why I like Doctor Who and Star Trek so much, is because life is important in those things. We aren't just going through, crowds of people killing them all, unless we're Star Trek Picard, but we all like to forget that show. Anyway, I guess the difference here is that, there's no suggestion that these deaths should have happened, right? It's not the Doctor killing them. The Doctor would be opposed to their deaths. So, yeah. I just like a Doctor Who that feels very dangerous. A Doctor Who world that's like, this world is dangerous to live in. And this episode paints that. Other episodes paint that. I just watched Dalek with some of my coworkers for the first time. I didn't watch it for the first time. They watched it for the first time. Like, I just love how scary the Dalek is in that episode. And moving forwards, we just lose a lot of that feel of danger. And we lose a bit of excitement in that. So, I like the high body count here. I like that it's a little bit edgy, right? It's something that would, like, maybe make someone's mom uncomfortable, like, oh no, my kids are watching something where some people are dying. And I like that about it. I like that it's a little bit edgy, it's a little bit scary. And I especially liked that as a young kid, right? I think people need to realize that kids like scary. They like a little bit edgy, right? And oftentimes it will make a better story than when you try to avoid any mention of death or anything that could be perceived as scary. At the end of the episode, K9 sacrifices himself. The day is saved. Hip hip hooray. Now, I should mention, the main bad guy here is played by a man named Anthony Head, and he does a great job. Now, I've already mentioned in this episode Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and how it was a lot of the inspiration for sort of the style tone for New Who. Anthony Head also played one of the main characters on that show. And he does a great job in both shows. But unfortunately, he actually really recently passed away. So it's just kind of sad to think that he's no longer with us. Because he does do a good job, and I like him in both things that I've seen him in. Come to think of it, I think he also is a centaur in Percy Jackson. Maybe Percy Jackson 2? Watch my Percy Jackson video. I'm not a big fan of the new show. I'm not a big fan of the movies. I also not a big fan of. I think probably the books, if I ever read them, would not be a big fan of. Anyway, you can watch my video. I'll try and remember to link that here. The episode ends with Mickey agreeing to stay on the Tardis, which is fun. I like. It shows sort of the character growth, how they're sort of bringing Mickey into being less of just sort of a cowardly fellow. But yeah, so he's on the Tardis now, which is fun. And Sarah Jane leaves the Doctor once again. And again, I love David Tennant and like the admiration that he was that he shows towards Sarah Jane.
My Sarah Jane.
Again, like she's his child.
We're all your children.
No!
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for sticking around to hear the moral of this episode. The thing we can take away and apply to our lives. And that moral comes from this scene right here.
Listen to us. It's like me and my mate Shireen. The only time we fell out was over a man, and we're arguing over the doctor. With you, did he do that thing where he'd explain something at like 90 miles per hour and you go, what? And he'd look at you like he just dribbled on your shirt? All the time.
So, the thing that I want to take away from this episode is how we can choose to be jealous. We can choose to have resentment towards other people just because of circumstances that might annoy us, right? Or we can choose to put our jealousy aside and we might actually create friendships. Our jealousy oftentimes will be getting in the way of having truly great friendships with truly great people that we can learn from. So, next time you find yourself jealous towards another human or resentful for whatever superficial reason, you can just remember that it is your choice to either be like Rose and Sarah Jane in this scene.
Well, obviously they use them in biology lessons. They dissect them. Or maybe you haven't reached that bit yet. How old are you?
Excuse me, no one dissects rats in school anymore. They haven't done that for years. Where are you from? The Dark Ages?
Anyway, moving on.
Or you can choose to be like Rose and Sarah Jane from this scene.
All the time.
Which will it be? The choice is yours. So, all that being said, that's kind of my thoughts on this episode. It's not the best episode I've ever seen. I wouldn't put it up there with my favorites, but I do enjoy it quite a lot. I think it's a fun episode indeed. I would definitely recommend watching it, though I would probably recommend all of New Who, besides Love and Monsters, which is coming up, and I'm gonna have to do an episode on it. Anyway, I would love to hear any of your thoughts on, do you like K9? Did you like Disney Plus Doctor Who? Do you like this era? I would like to hear all that in the comments below. If you could leave a like, subscribe to the channel, all that. Though really the best thing you can do, I've noticed, I think, is if you leave a comment, that really helps these videos to get seen by more people. And I also just love hearing from you in the comments. If you could do that, that would be great. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, live long and prosper. I'm doing my Time Lord telepathic magic. You think he learned that from the Vulcans? Maybe. You know Time Lords can fly.